And here she is. So we got a Coleman Santa Fe. It's a 2001? Something like that. Early 2000s. I'll get back to you on that. The biggest thing is like, so on these old Colemans, if you're not familiar with them, they had an ABS, all one piece ABS plastic shell on top of the top portion on the roof. This one has had that removed because what would happen is obviously the plastic becomes brittle, it breaks off, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. So the previous owner actually completely removed it, and underneath it is basically like a hard styrofoam, and they had a coating put on it, but you can see where this has sunk in. It is making the shell kind of pop out. So down here, it seals up, but there is some gapping in here. We're gonna be doing just a little bit of stuff to it. The first thing is going to be getting that roof brace in. I actually have a roof brace. Also, I'll actually pop it up and show you the inside of it. Okay, so I'm gonna try to lift the roof up using the jack and the 2x4s here. Put the towel on top of here to just try to kind of protect this a little bit. We're gonna try to make it as even as possible, but attempting to not take the air conditioner off because there is a gasket around it, and I really don't want to cause water leaking because there isn't any right now. So we're trying to keep that gasket intact. So that's why I'm trying to do it this way. I'm gonna watch it as it goes up and just make sure that nothing weird is happening that I don't like. And if it does get that way, then we'll scrap it and figure out what's going on. So here we go. All right, go ahead. Okay, taking a look here. Is it lifting? Certainly appears to be. We're gonna keep going. All right. Okay, slowly but surely we're making progress. It is now lifted off of this, and the gap here, the gapping here, there was a big old gap there. So it certainly looks like that's working. So that is a plus. So now this is loose in there, which tells me that it's taking its form back, which is awesome. Okay, so let's go look at the outside. Okay, so you can see here it is certainly lifting, so that's good. We still got kind of a hump back here, but hopefully with the brace on there, we're really just trying to get some relief off of that. But now you can see, so that's the hump there is where the first brace is, and then the back here, you can, I think right here is where the new, where this 2x4 is with the jack, because it's right on this side. So I want to put the brace here, and you can see there is a gap right there. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put the brackets on, we're going to drill through them, and then we are going to, there's long bolts that go through, and you suck it up, and that's what pulls it up to the roof, and then you tighten it down, and then you take one off each side and put the smaller bolts in, and then it's good to go. But the good news is lifting it like that did relieve some of that, and hopefully that is doing good stuff. Okay, so we've got it jacked up, and the here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure the distance, get a kind of a rough estimate of where the current brackets sit, so that I can kind of do the same over here. So what they originally did and what the directions online are, they're based off of this door track, and you can see where they've drawn the line off of the door track. Well, obviously there's no door track in the backside, so what we're gonna do is just measure from this bolt, because there is sag. I'm gonna just measure from this bolt and to the outside edge is roughly 3.5 inches. And then we'll look on this side. We'll actually just kind of get that side started and put it in there, and then we can kind of go from there. But from the outside wall-ish, I mean, again, that's not gonna be a perfect thing. So from the edge of that, it's just roughly 2 7/8 or so. And again, not perfect. We'll just base it off that because these bolts are actually here as well. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it right here at this last little nut and bolt, and we're gonna put it, that'll put it across here, and that should prevent the sag. Again, this is right up next to the air conditioner. I didn't want to have that brace be on this side of the air conditioner, so I put it a little bit farther back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my bracket right here, and we're gonna place it, kind of eyeball it here, and then I will measure that distance, so that 3.5 roughly from that bolt. We'll go ahead and drill up through there, through the ceiling, and then we'll put it in, put the brace in here and measure for the other side. So be right back. Okay, so I have roughly measured it. I think the good thing about these is that you don't actually bolt the support into it so that it has room to freely move. I'll talk more about that later. But so I can kind of eyeball it here, but I've made some markings, and the next step is going to be drilling up through these holes. So I'm gonna do that now. It says 17/64, so I've got a 1/4 inch. We're gonna go with that. So I'm gonna place it up here, and boy, fingers crossed. We're gonna drill the first hole. Here we go. I guess no turning back now. We're gonna go look at the hole from the outside. All right, so we got a hole drilled right there, and it's good. So it's not in the, what I'm calling the gutter, so that's good. So we got one, and now we're going to drill the second one. So this takes a lot of hands. Here we go. Perfect, I hope. We got 2 holes. There we go. Now we're ready to go outside and work on the next part. Okay, so everything that is included, we have the 2 brackets. It came with butyl tape to seal the outside. We've got our long bolts, which is our initial hole. We're gonna put those through and then suck up. And then we've got our top mounting plates, and then our covers for the outside, and then of course the bar that holds everything in place. So that's everything that it came with. So 2 holes down. We're gonna use these through the top, and we're gonna start working on pulling that upward. Here we go. Okay, so up here, got my mounting plate, place the mounting plate, and see I've got my holes, place the mounting plate, and then I'll put my carriage bolts through, and you'll see that in a second. Okay, like so, and those will suck down into that plate, but you can see there, along the edge of the gutter, we've got them in there, so here we go. All right, so now I've got the 2 1/4 inch, I'm not sure exactly what they are. I'm gonna put the bracket on here, try not to push them back through. Again, they keep trying to do that. Maybe that's why they want you to use the long ones. I'm gonna put the washer on here. And this came with 2 different types of nuts. This is supposed to be the ones that you use for the long bolts, so you can adjust and tighten. I'm just gonna put them on there for now, just to kind of hold things in place. There we go, that should hold for now. And the other thing is that I'm really not trying to do a lot right now. I just want to hold it in place and get an idea of what I'm working with. And that's not pulling itself through. Okay, so again, I'm not getting it super snug on here. I'm just wanting to get it on there so that I can place the bracket across, figure out where the other side's gonna go, because before you tighten that down, obviously, you gotta get everything positioned right, and then also the butyl tape needs to go on the outside to seal everything in place all nicely. So I'm gonna hold that there for now. I'm gonna grab the brace, I'm gonna run it across here and kind of mark the other side, and we're gonna go from there. Okay, so now I've got the first one in. I'm going to place this here and on that inside here, like so. And you can see that it is gonna be difficult. So I need to get down there a little bit more. And then we're gonna have to do some more adjusting because it's not fitting. See, we're having issues here. So, okay, it's gonna have to be tightening there, and this is gonna have to push up. So we'll go from there. Hang on. All right, so we got this side in. We've got it upside down right now because the gap, it's not tall enough yet. It's not pushed up enough yet. So what I'm gonna do, I've got it upside down, so I've got the distances right. I'm gonna place this bracket here, and I'm gonna do the same kind of thing where I just place it and mark it, and we'll drill more holes. Okay. Okay, update. I didn't really think it through when I was talking about the longer bolts. So the shorter bolts, that's fine here. The longer bolts are, for my case at least, because with the arch being the way that it is, you can't push it all the way up. So you put the long bolts in, get them threaded, and then you slowly work its way up. So that is what I am in the process of doing now. I've still got it supported here. I've got my support going here. Got the roof pushed up as much as I can, somewhat safely, I don't know. This bracket is still loose on here now. When I let it down, I know that it'll probably form back to that. But so that's what I'm doing here, is just slowly but surely tightening these on here and seeing what it does. So slowly but surely, here we go. Okay, so now I've got this all the way cranked up and it's snugged up there, and I moved the jack out of the way. It was a moment of the truth. I was too scared to record it, but it held. And now they're both good. Actually, it's relieved a lot of stress on this bracket, which is good. So it kind of moves freely. Another thing I read kind of on a forum was like, you're supposed to allow it to move, but sometimes they can pop out of those brackets. So what you can do is drill a hole through one side and just put like a cotter pin in or put a bolt in so that it can still move freely on the other side, but so that it holds steady on the other side. And I'll probably do that. This one's snug. It's not really going anywhere. So I'm not worried about it at the moment, but it's all there. So what they want you to do now is take the shorter bolts and one at a time replace this. So take one off, put the shorter bolt in, and then tighten it up. And that would be the next steps. I should also mention that I did put the butyl tape down on the brackets on the top of the roof before I tightened these down on both sides so that it is sealed up. So I did do the butyl tape. I'm going to tighten these down more now that it's in there. So that would be the next step, is take these out one at a time. Also, this took forever because even with a deep socket, you're still having to use a wrench, and you can't even get a ratcheting wrench in there. So 1/4 turn at a time takes forever, but maybe that's what this thing needs, you know, slow and steady so you don't blow your roof out. So that's the basic install there. There's a top plate that goes on the outside, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so this top plate here just goes up, and so there's the butyl tape. right there. You should trim off any excess. It looks like it already kind of did that for me. And then you just take the plate and it goes on top of that. And I'm sure that there's a way to bolt that in. So that's where we're at so far. Okay, one side done. Also, it helps if you put something on there to brace the U bracket, because when you start loosening it, it's gonna want to tilt and lock the bolt in there. So again, I just repurposed my jack and 2x4 and just held that in place. This side's actually cranked down now. I'm getting this one off now. Goes a lot faster on the shorter bolts because you can actually use a socket. So that's a little pro tip for you there. Brace that bracket and you'll have a much easier time. Pro tip, maybe if you're working on a project like this, you already know it, but just in case, save a life. Again, we're not reusing this for anything right now, but if we needed to, you can take a nut like this and flip it upside down and screw it on there just to the edge of the bolt. And as I try to do this left-handed with the camera in my hands, screw that to the edge there. And then when you take your hammer and tap it up, you're not gonna mar the end of that bolt. Okay, they're both on there now. The short ones are good. We got her tightened down. Butyl tape's nice and squished on the outside. Here's the moment of truth here. I'm going to loosen the jack, and it should be fine because that was just holding that bracket up, but slowly. There we go. Now that's certainly better. I will say that worked. So now we've got a brace here and we got a brace here, and hopefully this saves you a lot of pain, because as of right now in March of 2025, I could not find a video anywhere on the process of doing this, and I know that they sell these and I know that people have these campers. So anyway, if you're ever wondering, they meant for it to go right there. They probably should have put one on the back too if you don't have the ABS, and now we've rectified that situation. One more thing off the list, and now our roof is not sagging in the back thanks to the AC. There we go. Enjoy.